Those who rule. Sorry guys, I'm doing laundry, so hopefully you can hear me. Um, I just wanted to talk about some tips and tricks and my general thoughts on the game after five successful seasons and one failure. Of course, I'm playing on easy, and this may not apply to higher difficulty levels. Um, Far and away, I think the name of the game is refresh your turn, and Finn starts out at level 4. He's a guy you can recruit. I finally got the skill ring, and I stuck the skill ring and the strength ring on him. And look at his stats. His stats are off the charts. Look at Roderick's stats, who's 35, and he even blows Roderick out of the water. Russell's also 35. Yeah, I turned Finn into an absolute monster. The name of the game I found out is refresh your turn. This passive right here, first time each turn this unit overkills an enemy by 10 damage, refresh their turn. So that's 2 kills right there per turn. And my strategy was I was going to bring 2 healers. So Corvin, who starts at level 21 when you pick him up, um, has this ability to refresh your turn every third turn. So every third turn, if Corvin's in range of Finn, Finn could actually get 3 kills. Oftentimes you can get more than that because if you position in a way, whereas sometimes if you reach a point, say you pick a square and then there's like a group of 3 or 4 enemies and they charge at you. They do not charge at you all at once. They charge at you one at a time. And oftentimes, uh, this not only applies to Finn, but it could be like a two-handed swords master, for example, who I think is the best class in the game. The blade. Uh, Edward here. He's kind of like a prodigy. So I didn't even stick any healing items on him. I just and it decreases XP growth a little bit. Defeat 2 enemies in 1 round of combat. Refresh your turn. Um, he didn't get quite as high, but he's 33. know if they did an update. The another key player in this playthrough, I wanted to force myself to use other people that I had never used before, like Finn, for example. And he's really, really weak starting out. But what's cool about Finn is he gains XP 50% when fighting a higher level. So he catches up very quickly. Melanie, I absolutely love her. If nothing else, just for the gold income. It doesn't sound like a lot, but every time you kill an enemy, you get 50 to 150 gold. And every turn, and maybe I should have put a different bow on her with maybe more damage, because sometimes she was not finishing enemies. But this thrill of the hunt, every time you defeat an enemy who is marked, feared, bleeding, wounded, refresh their turn. And if you have this combination, marks any enemy you target and hit with a bow. So that meets the requirement of this thrill of the hunt. So every time you get a kill, it refreshes the turn. And then you also get 2 move and 3 attack for your next turn. So every turn, Melanie can potentially get 2 kills. She could actually get a 3rd kill if one of these acolytes, one of these healers, puts vital points on her. Another person who was outstanding is the Warhammer guy. And maybe his hit chance is a little less, I'm not sure. That's one reason why I wanted to slow to die on him, because I want him to hit. But whenever you use this ability, this crushing blow, it doubles the damage. So a lot of times you didn't even need it, but I was hitting sometimes for 88 damage. And of course, no enemy in the game has more than 60 health, not including what the shield value is. The shield value might be 20, no, 30. So, but still, oftentimes with binging, I was getting overkilled. The first time each turn this unit overkills the enemy by 10, refresh the turn. So he was getting a 2nd attack. And that's one reason why he's so high. Salvador, who is not a Blades Master, I tried to start him out with just like a spear and a shield, but he instantly got killed. But even despite that awful setback, and I had these rings on Skylar. I changed him very late So he didn't really have these rings until recently. But his stats are amazing. He could just kill wave after wave after wave of enemies by himself without any assistance. So we've talked about these four. Shiva, when you get her, she has a bow, she has a dagger, she has a sword. A lot of the game I had her with a shield and a dagger. But eventually I just went back to the two-hander because the two-hander is just so good. So that's Shiva. Ryson, and you might say I got an overkill on the Blade Masters, and yes, that probably would be correct, but they're just so good. I usually find myself playing with 4 or 5 of them. Maybe even 6 if you include Alana here. In Alana, I had the skill ring on her. No, the agility ring. That's why her agility is so high. But I did take it off eventually. And Skylar had the 2 rings that I put on Salvador. But the problem is Skylar was only level 20, and so was Marcus, whereas Alania was 30. So Skylar and Marcus got left in the dust. And the way I like to play Skylar is I like to put him in a bill hook. Not necessarily a bill hook, but a pole hammer, or whatever it's called. Marcus, I like to use him as an axe tank, usually. The problem was for me was Finn and Benjen and Salvador and Melanie basically took all the XP, and that's why Skylar was left here at 20, and Marcus was left at 22, 20 as well. They were so weak that they couldn't even kill a single enemy near the end, because the enemies near the end are like 35 or something, or 30. I can't remember. I think they're 35. So they were just absolutely useless. But usually if someone has watched my playthroughs, I usually like to be overly cautious with Skylar, Alania, and Marcus. And their token healer is Phoebe, who actually did really good at 26. And I like these skirmisher boots on, maybe not on her. Usually I have them on the other healer that I didn't use this time, Cedric. Because after you do a move, you can move again. And this dove effigy probably was not best utilized on her, because when she uses men, she actually heals herself too. One thing I was worried about, like Corvin, for example, didn't get it, but Talon did. He got this group prayer thing. So I was worried the reason why I decided to go priest or priest and then saint was because I wanted access to this group heal, and this is a full heal right here as well. Um, so normally I would keep Phoebe. This is my first time playing with Finn, and my first time playing with these two guys, and my first real time, I think. Maybe my second time playing with Melanie. But every playthrough I try to mix it up and try to use somebody that I haven't used before. Like normally I always use Elias, who is really good, and I use him as a polearm guy, and Douglas, and I pair them together. And Douglas is a paladin, can heal, and whoever's next to him. And I forgot who I gave it to, but there's somebody. Let me see. There's somebody that has it. I think I might have sold it, but there's two items that I usually keep on Elias that it basically doubles the amount of healing he gets. So, like, if he's standing next to Douglas, after he kills an enemy, will heal the lowest health adjacent ally for 50% of their max health. And really, I probably don't even need those healing items on Elias, because this is such a potent heal. One thing I was trying to do, I was trying to utilize Wesley, and Wesley starts out, I think, at 19. So I gained a couple levels with him, but I tried him with a shield and a sword, and he basically just got one shot. So I think Wesley is better utilized as an archer, and the ability, his aura, I don't know if they buffed this. I thought it was maybe 20%, but it's 40% XP, but you gotta be within 2 tiles. So because of this problem right here, where Skylar is only 21, and like Alani is 30, and Marcus is 20, maybe, well, early on you can't pair Wesley and Finn together. That was my idea, was Finn's only going to be level 4, but you don't get Wesley until later on, much later on. So by the time you get Wesley, Finn's okay. But your main heroes are going to lag behind. So having him as an archer, maybe paired with your main heroes, could help, but it's very tough to position within 2 tiles. You basically would have to, there would have to be like a tank in the front, or Skylar, either Marcus or Skylar, and he had to stand directly behind one of them. But it could work, and that could be a solution to these guys falling far behind. In some games I'll have, and Marcus will be a beast. I'll have some games where Lonnie is a beast. this time my whole playthrough was basically revolved around Finn. It was revolved around Melanie. And I even had playthroughs where I don't even use an archer. I really like Ajax. He's very good. Quincy, I've never used before, but I like that she has polearm mastery. And but she comes with all different types of weapons and stuff. Like Alania, like her passive doubles her XP, gain gain 1 damage and 5 hit for each weapon type in mastery A or higher. So maybe the best way to utilize her is once you get A in sword, get A in spear, get A in polearm, and then maybe go to the two-hander. So I mean it doesn't sound like much, but that's 4 extra damage. So instead of hitting for 14 damage per hit, you're hitting for 18. That could be the difference in getting the kill and leaving somebody with a sliver of life. But he has Lone Wolf, so he's best off on his own. And oftentimes with these two-handers, I'll send them by themselves to just go kill like 10 enemies. And not only do they dish out a ton of damage, but even with nothing on them, even with not even a bandage or nothing, they're all by themselves. I mean, I did put a bandage on him, but a lot of times these sword masters, they just don't get hit. They got high avoidance, they got high agility, and they're kind of like dodge tanks, but they can dish out the damage. Jorah, I actually used him this time. He starts out when you get him at 28, so he was not with you very long before the end of the game. And I tried a spear on him and a shield, a simple spear, and he basically would get one shot right away. So the only reason I'm using Jorah is because Cassidy down here, who was my other Blades Master, was so low. He was basically 10 levels behind everybody else. And he's very good, but he just got left behind because all the XP was going on Finn and Benjen and Melanie and Salvador, and he just got left behind. So once I got Jorah, I subbed in Jorah. I don't know. Maybe I could go with a bigger shield on him. Maybe I could utilize him as a polearm user. I just know with a spear and a kite shield, he just gets wrecked. I mean, really, I don't even know really how he got any XP because he might have got in 3 missions. He might have got like a couple kills. Maybe 3 kills. But ideally, normally I only run with 2 healers. I run with Phoebe and I run with Cedric. And Phoebe always stays with my core. Um, Marcus, Elenia, Skylar, and she just protects those 3. That's her job. Because I was using 2 extra healers, uh, I set Cedric on the bench. And Cedric's stats are terrible. I mean, there is that item you can turn endurance into strength, but he's still very bad. But it's okay because all you need him to do is heal, so he doesn't have to be in any combat. But the healers in this game level insanely slow. Like Corvin, I think he starts at 21. Talon is even less. I think when you get him, he might be 18 or 19 maybe. Maybe lower. You get him the same time as Ajax. And I think I only used Ajax for 1 mission, but I think he gained like 2 levels in that 1 mission. So maybe he starts out at level 16 or so. But I didn't even use a tank at some point. I mean, Douglas made it. I think he starts at like 21. And Elias, who I usually pair with him, I dumped him too. And I really like Elias for the polearm user. I like having 2 polearm users. And if you pair a polearm user with a blade master or 2-hand sword user, you can attack 2 tiles one way, get a kill. Attack 2 tiles the other way, get another 2 kills, and get 4 kills with basically 2 hits. But yeah, ideally I would run with way too many Blade Masters, but they're just so good. So like normally I would have like Cassidy, Edward, Ryson as 3, Shiva's 4, Salvador would be 5, and then Alani will be 6. So out of the 14 spots, like 5 or 6 are usually Blade Masters. And I wish that wasn't the case, but they're just so good. I mean, I don't know what else I could do with Salvador. I mean, maybe you could put him on maybe put an axe on him would be another viable solution, but he's just so good with a 2-hander because his stats are just so good starting out. And when you get him, he's 24. And the very next mission, I put him in a spear and a shield, and he literally died on the first mob. I don't even think he got a kill. He died in 1 hit. But like I said, I was trying something different. I was trying him with a spear and a shield, and I was trying Shiva with a dagger and a shield. And one of the daggers, it like refreshes your turn every time you get a kill. But the 2-hander is just so much better. But like I said, the only reason I was really using Jorah was I had no other options as far as somebody that was. I mean, at this point I'm fighting level like 30 mobs, and if you're 10 levels behind, you're just gonna get wrecked. So that's the only reason I used Jorah was um, Cassidy was underleveled. And maybe having two of these guys. I really like Corbin's poison thing, but I didn't really get him in melee range often, so he really didn't get to utilize it very much. So I don't know. Maybe you can make Corbin a little more tanky, a little more defensive. Oh, these are the two things I normally have on Elias. Because he's always adjacent to somebody. And then this doubles the healing. But this playthrough, like Finn, he would go out, he would get a kill, it would refresh his turn, he'd get another kill, that's 2 kills, and then I would try to get one of these acolytes to come up and give him vital points that would refresh his turn, and he would get a 3rd kill. And oftentimes he would get a lot more than that because he would be in a dangerous situation, and then mob after mob would just charge at him, and he would just kill everybody that comes his way. And that's how the sword masters can rack up so many kills. Not only do they have if 2 enemies are side by side, they have the slash ability, which allows you to basically kill 2 enemies in one turn. But not only that, but if you're in a dangerous situation and mob after mob is about to charge at you one at a time, you can get a 3rd kill, 4th kill, 5th kill, 6th kill, 7th kill. They do die very quickly if they're hit in the back. So if they're surrounded, they usually don't fare too well. But yeah, there's a lot of different strategies, but you only get like 14 roster spots. So like all these guys, I use them early on, but after that I didn't use them. One playthrough, Caliph, I gave Caliph Finn's axe, and she did really well because she has mastery in the axe. And you really need at least 2 axe users just to break shields. And like this Warhammer is considered an axe. If you look at the top right hand corner of the screen, it shows you it's in the axe category. And oftentimes in the end of the game you have these guys that have these huge shields and you can't get through the block. So one cool thing that Russell has, and I've never used it in any of my playthroughs, but basically I don't know if you ever played Battle Brothers where you can swap. It's called like rotate or something. That's what this is basically. You can come in and rotate. So if like Finn's in a dangerous position, I could come in and rotate and move Finn out of a dangerous situation. I don't know if I would do Finn again, just because starting out it's a little rough getting him caught up, but he's probably the best character in the game. Um, Salvador has to rank up there, and Edward, like I said, he's like a prodigy. I mean, he almost has 40 agility, and he's getting 25% less XP. I don't know. Maybe compare. Excuse me, I got some sinus issues today. But maybe compare Edward and Wesley together. Um, but it's so hard because Wesley has to be within 2 tiles. So, in theory, it might make sense, but in practicality, it doesn't. But in this game, gold income is very hard to get. And if you make a mistake and let's say you spend all your gold upgrading an iron weapon or steel weapon, by the time you get to the next rank of the Crucible, you don't have enough money to buy these refinements. Of course, this is a really good one to have, but you got to have expert in it. I've said this before. One thing I would like to see added is a heavy bandage. I mean, you don't really need it, but some of the characters late game come with a heavy bandage. So that's really the only way of getting a heavy bandage. But like Russell and them, they have heavy bandages. But if you look at the Forge, I mean, all these guys were maxed out, which is very hard to do. Not all of them, I don't think, were maxed out, but most of them were. I didn't upgrade these last two. That would have been an extra 2,400 gold. And of course, I didn't upgrade these, the healers. And Skylar was not maxed. And Alania was not maxed. So even with Melanie, gold is an issue. And I did waste some gold because I upgraded weapons that I no longer used or whatever it may be. But near the end of the game, I pretty much just sell everything for as much gold as I can. And I don't know if I upgraded these guys. No. One playthrough I did have enough to upgrade if you don't get Roderick and Russell, you get I think if you choose the other option, you get 3 characters. You get Crawford, you get a woman who's really good. Maybe you only get 2. I think you get 3 though, but I can't remember who the third one is. And I thought when Marcus leaves, I thought Elias leaves too. But somebody might have left on my roster when Marcus left, but it didn't tell me. And if you choose the other option, a couple characters leave, but I can't remember who leaves. So that would be good information to know if you know you're going to choose the other route, knowing that you're not going to have like your best guy or whatever fighting with you. But I did kind of want like someone with a dagger. There's some bleed mechanics. There's some mechanics where you can, if you get a kill with a dagger, it refreshes your turn. But the dagger hits very. The final ability, I think, to do that only hits for about 20 damage. So you'd have to plan. You'd have to plan that. But a lot of the time, I just had her with a dagger and a shield, and she actually did pretty good. But not as good as a two-hander though. So that's why I switched them back. But there's so many characters to choose from. There's nothing wrong with any of these other characters. I just, based on the build I was going for, I just picked the best characters I thought that in my ideal situation. Like, ideally, well, normally my other playthroughs, I basically went with 2 tanks. Marcus would be 1 tank, and then Douglas, when you get him, he's just so good. He's a lot of times I start the defensive ring on him and boost up the 80% chance for defense. And like I said, I paired Douglas and I pair Elias together. And just those 2 guys, they can hold a line. And there's one mission that I usually send them to kill 14 enemies by themselves. Just the 2 of them. There's a pack of 7 and another pack of 7. That's 14 enemies. And they kill all of them. And like I said, usually Phoebe is my core group healer. You know, Skylar, Marcus, Elenia, and Phoebe. That's my core 4, and she's just their pocket healer. Now for the group healing, I usually would use Cedric, and I put those skirmisher boots on so you can move around the map more. And a lot of times I would send the two-handers off by themselves, and some of the two-handers do have bandages, so they can heal themselves. Some of them, like Edward, I don't have any bandages on him. Salvador, he doesn't have any bandages right now. But they still do really well even without any kind of healing, any kind of assistance. Sometimes there's healing mushrooms on the map. There's other ways of healing. I think this guy... See, I didn't really need a bandage on him because he has this. If you are injured, consume a stack, heal 10, consume stacks till full health. So every time you get a kill, you basically can regain 10 health. And he only has 50 health, so 3-4 kills, he's, you know, almost back to full health. But normally I would send the Blade Masters off to one other side of the map to basically just kill everything. And then on the other side of the map, I might have Douglas and Elias and maybe my shield breaker, maybe Benjen, or whoever's using Finn's axe, paired with um, Cedric. Because there's a lot of different missions that you gotta send. You know, all right, 3 guys going this way, 4 guys going that way, whatever. Um, so a lot of times, you know, like I said, Phoebe was with her group of three guys: Skylar, Elenia, and Marcus. And then Cedric would be with his 3 guys, which normally would be Elias, Douglas, and either the hammer guy or the hammer guy and the axe guy. So maybe those 5 together. So 5 one way, 4 the other way. That's 9. And then you got 5 more. You got, you know, Blade Masters out. They might be going to get a chest and killing a couple enemies on the way, or whatever. But you know, you had someone like Melanie in the mix, and now Melanie, she could roam if you know, or if one of the Blade Masters needs a little more assistance, she could go run and help them. She could go help the core group of the Paladin and Elias and the 2 axe users. And like I said, it would be nice if I could pair Wesley with my group of guys, but a lot of times, a lot of the missions, my group of guys really ain't doing much. I'm too scared to put them in a dangerous situation where they might possibly get killed. Because I mean, if you put Skylar, for example, out in the middle and he goes charging in or something, because there is a thing you can do, charge. If he goes charging in and gets surrounded by 3 guys, a lot of times he's just dead. Now, Marcus could charge in around 3 guys, but he might die too. So, even though I like the concept of Wesley, maybe as another archer, maybe with the aura, in practicality, I don't know how good it would be. And my Blade Masters are just so good, I would have to drop 1 or 2 of them. I mean, 1 Blade Master you could go send to an area, and normally it would take sometimes 3 other guys to do the same job. So having several Blade Masters allows you to get those chests, allows you to complete the missions, it allows you to get the extra gold, the extra items that you need in order to progress in the game. Because even with Melanie as a beast, I still did not have enough money to upgrade all my guys, and that's with selling all the extra gear on all these people. mean, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people that I was not using that I sold all their gear on. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then you get your 3, Skylar, Alania, and Marcus. But like I said, to get Finn, you really leveled up. You really have to sacrifice a lot. You really have to build the whole team around him. And you know, like I grabbed these 2 guys, whereas normally I would just have Cedric. So because I gained an extra healer, I had to get rid of somebody. And the people that I normally use that I had to get rid of were Elias, Cassidy, Douglas, and Cedric. These 4 I normally play with, and they were not in my team. So in order to utilize these 4 guys, 4 guys up here have to go. And you could replace these 2, that'd be 2, that'd be 3, and then you would have to make a decision on maybe leave Finn on the bench. And go with your 3 main guys, Phoebe, or you designate a pocket healer for them. And then this would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And Jorah sits on the bench. Because, I mean, you don't really want like 4 archers on your team, I don't think. I mean, it's possible that you could have that many archers, but I think 1 or 2 archers is fine. You know, 2 tanks is fine. I like to have 2 polearm users. I like to have a lot of 2-handed sword users. I like to have that axe off of Finn, so an axe guy, and then also the hammer guy, who's also an axe guy. So 2 2-handed axes, 4, 5, 6 2-handed swords, 2 tanks with shields, 2 polearms, 1 to 2 archers, something like that. 2 healers. But after the 6th playthrough, I finally figured out, like, it's all about refreshing your turn. Like I said, this with Melanie, this Thrill of the Hunt, this automatically procs with these items on her. So as soon as she gets a kill, boom, her turn is refreshed. She can get a 2nd kill. If you happen to have an Acolyte with you, and maybe with Phoebe and them, I just like Phoebe because she can heal herself when she heals others. But you can also choose the other option that gives you this thing. So you can choose that with Phoebe and Cedric. You potentially have four guys just running around giving you extra turns. but it's probably easier to do with an archer because Finn really is in the front lines and he's way up, and if your healers are way back, they got to spend a turn or two just trying to get to you. And then that puts the healer in a dangerous situation because now they're on the front line, and you really don't want your healers on the front line. But out of the must-haves, I would say Melanie is a must-have just for the gold income. I don't know. Maybe you could pair Melanie with Wesley and have two archers, and Wesley will give 40% XP to Melanie when she gets all those kills. But Melanie's also moving around the map. I mean, she might be over here, and then all of a sudden she's over here. And Wesley might be over here somewhere, so he's not anywhere near 2 tiles away. So, like I said, even though I like the idea of having Wesley, just the only thing to me that makes sense is having him directly behind Skylar or directly behind Marcus. But like I said, a lot of the times, basically what I did starting out, I put the 2 good rings on him. I can't remember. I put the agility ring on her. But for him, I had the rings I put on Salvador. I had vitality and I had something else. But I just never leveled him. He got left behind. So having the skill rings on him, or whatever I had on, the rings that boost the chance of their stats going up, was really wasted. But a lot of times, like when Salvador levels up, it'd be like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It'll be like ones all across the board, and he really doesn't have a really high chance of gaining that. So I don't know if I just got lucky or what. And I did choose fixed growth rather than random. I don't know. I've never played with random before. But I don't know. Maybe random you'll get like 0, 0, 4 or 0, 0, or I don't know. I don't know how it works, but to be honest with you, I really did not need these 2 guys. Yeah, it's cool when they refresh the turn, but you're also losing 2 other guys. I mean, having 2 other sword masters or 2 other anything, I mean, 1 sword master can really take the spot of like 3 guys, I think. They're just that good. But you can walk up to an enemy. There's 2 enemies. You kill them. That's 2 kills. Then if there's any other enemies in the area, they will usually charge you on the next attack, and then you can get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on your next turn, you get another 2 kills. And then some other enemies might charge you. So, I mean, it's not even unthinkable for like Salvador to go kill 20 guys by himself. Now, granted, I am playing on easy. When I did try normal, some of my two-handed sword users just got wrecked. They, two or three guys around, they're just dead. Or instead of killing the enemy, they would leave it with a sliver of health left. So I don't know. Maybe at higher level difficulties, maybe you want to keep your like two-handed sword users maybe to a minimum of 2 or 3 instead of like 5 to 6 or 4 to 6. But you know, like I said, Finn does become a beast. He is probably the best character in the game, followed by probably Edward and Salvador, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not really. If I had to do it again, probably sticking all the cool rings and stuff on Skylar and Elenia probably was a waste. I probably should have stuck the cool rings on like I did with Finn. And, you know, Salvador or somebody. And probably the defensive one. And maybe the endurance one on Douglas. I don't know. But definitely the defensive one. But really, in all honesty, you really don't even need a tank. So if you go with no tanks, you could bring in 2 extra guys. But I wish this setup was a little bit better. It's just so underwhelming. They don't do much damage. If they get hit one time, I mean they're just dead. I mean, he's got a very high hit chance, but his avoidance is not very good. Whereas Edward has a even higher, well, a higher hit chance and a high avoid too. And he usually hits like 3 times. And this thing is really good too, gains 6 attack. This one has gain extra attack on it. Guys, if you've not played this game, get it. It is. I played this thing. I played like 6 playthroughs in like a week, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks max. You can if you read every conversation, it probably doubles the length of the game. But if you're just like clicking through and stuff, you can probably get through in there's like 20 missions, say an hour a mission, you can get done in a day or less. Because the first 3 missions or so, you can probably do in an hour. And maybe some missions is maybe 30 minutes. But I really like the simple. It's very simple concept, and I really don't. It starts at an iron sword, and it goes to steel, then it goes to crucible, and the same thing with the two-handers: iron, steel, crucible. With a spear, iron, steel, crucible, polearm, iron, steel, crucible, axes, iron, steel, crucible, and then iron battle axe, steel axe, crucible axe, iron bow, steel bow, crucible bow. But you also get a lot of other cool weapons in the game that are kind of unique, kind of like the bill hook here. This weapon that Alania is using, of course, Finn's weapon, this long axe, the one Benjen's using, the Warhammer, the one that Salvador's using, the Zweihander. The bow that Melanie's using is a longbow. The one that Shiva's using is a claymore. This one is just generic. This one is just generic. But there's also another polearm or bill hook or something that's unique. There's also several daggers. I think one's called a stiletto. I think you have to have an S rating to use it. And then there's one you can buy from the merchant as well. There's also, I think I gave it to Marcus, there's a mace, which is kind of unique as well. So, and if you wanted to, you could like Shiva, for example, sets when she starts out, she has a bow, she has a dagger, and she has a sword. So, if you want, you could have multiple setups per character. Like when Jorah came, I think he had a polearm as well. You just have to have enough carry weight, endurance, or whatever, to carry all that stuff. But if you want to, stick a shield, stick a spear, stick a sword, whatever, you could. But because Alania has this ability that her XP gain in weapons is 50% higher, and she gains a damage and 5 hit for each weapon type in mastery A or higher, it might be worth it for her to have mastery in multiple things. But it does take a while. It does take a while to level up your masteries. And even at the end of the game here, let me see. Well, Finn, of course, is the SS. That's the only thing he used. Ben is the SS. Salvador is only an S. Melanie is a SS. Shiva is only a B. And like I said, I normally had her with a dagger or a sword. Rayson, it was a SS. Edward was a SS and sword. Jor, like I said, you only get him for a couple missions, but he's S in all three of these already. SS and polearm. Cassidy, didn't really use him that much. Wesley, I think, starts with an S in bow. And Douglas was an S with an axe. Or mace, or whatever. But anyway, there's just so many options, so many different characters you can use. I mean, I would like to maybe play with this one some. Because, like I said, she could be another polearm user. If you wanted to have a second or a third polearm user, because Elias is already really good in polearm. And Skylar became good in polearm. He didn't start out with a polearm, but but even Skylar, he's only ranked B with polearm, so it does take a while. And I pretty much had the bill hook on him for a very long time. And I did try Skylar with a shield and a spear, but there's a lot of different options. There's a lot of different replayability. Like I said, there was like 10 characters I didn't use. I mean, all these are viable. I mean, you could make a team with just the guys you didn't use. But I wouldn't want to have 3 tanks. But maybe if you're playing on expert difficulty and Iron Man and all that kind of stuff, maybe you would need more than 2 tanks. But the missions, even on easy, are very difficult. There's tons and tons of enemies you got to defeat. And that's one reason why I love these Blade Masters, because they can just, each of them can kill multiple enemies. And the same thing with these abilities, like, you know, with Finn, hey, if he overkills a guy by 10 damage, he gets another turn. Same thing with Benjen. Overkills by 10, gets another turn. With Melanie, if she kills a marked target, everything she hits is going to be marked. She gets another turn. So, Shiva, when she was using her dagger, every time she got a kill with that dagger, it refreshed her turn. So having these multiple turns and multiple goes, and then you add one of these guys that can give you this every 3 turns. I think having 2 guys is a little overkill. But I decided to go with 2 because I was thinking I was going to be hurting as far as healing goes. But like I said, the Sword Masters really do not need a lot of healing. Even with Benjen, who actually takes a lot of damage, he has Berserk. And even if he dies, he goes to 50% life. And then he also has this ability: fortify self by 25% of your defense and heal to full. Fear all adjacent enemies. So a lot of these guys, even if they don't have a healer, have a lot of ways for healing. You know, with the archer, you really don't need any healing on an archer. And even if they get caught in melee, they can usually dodge enough and survive a couple hits. But I would like to utilize this poison ability more. So I don't know. I'd have to think on it. I'd have to probably watch some other people play, see what they do, see what works good for them. But basically, what this Dove Effigy thing does, first time each turn you use a healing ability ally. Without healing them to full, refresh your turn. So let's say you're one of these guys and you don't have Saint yet. You don't have the group heal. All you have is the men. So basically, the men would heal a third of their hit points, and then if you refresh your turn using the Dove Effigy, you would get another heal, which should heal them to full. Now, I did have this Myra's Eidolon, and I've never I didn't use it. I have no idea. I really don't know how to use this item, is basically what I'm trying to say. But in theory, I think if you would use this, let's say you use Vital Points, which only refreshes every third turn. Maybe if you use Vital Points and then you use this, it refreshes it. So you could use Vital Points either on the same guy again or a different guy. I don't know, but there is a thing where you can double the amount of damage that the poison does, and poison is very, very strong. So maybe there is a way that somehow I could power level Corwin, somehow maybe even make him like a tank. I don't know if that's even viable, being that his defense is so low. But if he is if you can't figure a way out for him to be in melee range, he could start casting these poisons on people. And then you could give him the the item, you got two slots you can plug in here. One of them could be double the amount of uh, when you attack somebody that has a poison on them, it doubles the damage. So instead of doing 8 damage, you'd be doing like, I don't know. I don't really know how much poison does, but poison hits for a lot. I mean, you could be full health, and then one poison dot would bring you down to like half health. In like 2 turns, probably. So that would be an interesting playthrough. An interesting strategy would be somehow figure out a way to get Corwin more in the front line, more in the range of enemies so that he can apply poison. But another thing is, the only people I really need to poison and bleed and all those are the big shield guys. Because the big shield guys are very tough to get through, and if you don't have a heavy hitter, a big axe user, or even the two-handed sword guys can kill the shielded guys, but it's tough. Now there is some abilities that you can give your archers to ignore shields. And also, there is an enchant that you could stick on, like a Crucible Greatsword, that ignores shields as well, I believe, or does more. I think it's called Crush or something like that. It does some kind of damage. I do like this thing on Finn that has 10 non-lethal damage to enemies. But this is only two-handed melee weapons. So like after I kill something, it's like a pack of 4, it would damage those 3 guys for like 10 damage. But most of the enemies you are pretty much killing, at least by in-game, in 1 hit. So the value to me of bleed and poison and stuff like that kind of goes down, because the only ones you really need them for or sometimes you got a polearm, there's an archer guy in the back, and you can't actually hit the archer with a normal attack, so you can stick a bleed on them. But maybe you could have a playthrough with just Phoebe and Corwin as your healers. Phoebe sticks with the main group, whereas Corwin goes with the secondary group. And somehow he manages his way to get and survive on the front line a little bit, enough to get the poison off. That could be viable. So instead of Phoebe and say Cedric, it'd be like maybe Phoebe and Corwin, and leave Talon on the bench. But like I said, I like Finn, but you really have to build your whole team around him. Like when I was playing this last time, I had these two guys just following Finn. That's all they were doing. But if I don't use Finn, I would probably I guess you could stick the axe on Salvador because Salvador's good with the axe too. So if you're trying to get rid of a two-handed sword user, you could, I guess, maybe stick the two-hander on Salvador. But he doesn't have the thing that refreshes your turn. So he would need somebody else to help kind of get him going. But normally if I don't use Finn, I would use Khalif here, who also has skill in the battle axe. But there's so many different options, so many different choices, so many different strategies, so many different ways you could do it. But this is just my thoughts and what's worked for me. And I don't know. Maybe I could just have Corvin healing my. I don't know. Something to think about. But I just wanted to share basically my tips and tricks come down to refresh your turn. If you can refresh your turn, if you can find a way to refresh your turn, instead of killing one enemy, you're going to be killing 2 enemies or 3 enemies. If you get some assistance from someone that can refresh your turn again. But when they do refresh your turn, you can't like kill another 2 enemies. In the case of like Finn, for example, you only kill 1 more and your turn stops. But if you refresh someone that's maybe a Blade Master, they can go walk up and go to kill another 2 enemies that are standing side by side, and they might be in a zone of control where multiple enemies are going to be charging at them, and they can get much more than 2 kills. They might get 4, 5, or 6 kills. But I don't know. I might have room for another archer. I would have to figure it out. I would have to make sure that there is status effects on the mob. So, you know, a fear or whatever counts as a status effects. Marked, feared, bleeding, rooted. So maybe in my next playthrough, if I do one, I don't know. Maybe Well, my first three guys are locked in. They're Skylar, Laney, and Marcus. And the fourth spot is basically locked in. That's going to be Phoebe. Because I really don't trust a healer healing my main party that only has a little min. They might be down to 10% life, and I need a full heal, and Phoebe can do that. So those four are locked in. If I Corwin, I want to use him. That's 5. That'd be 5 locked in. Melanie, I really want to use her. That's 6. Benjamin, yes, that would be 7. Salvador would be 8. Edward would be 9. Elias 10. Douglas 11. And then I would have room for basically alright, let's figure this out. Alright. Skylar, Alana, Marcus, that's 3. 4 would be Phoebe. 5 would be Corwin. 6 7 8 9 10 I don't know. It's too complicated without writing it down. But basically, I was thinking Phoebe and Corwin would be my 2 healers. Wesley and Melanie will be my 2 archers. That's what, 7? Douglas and Elias, 8 and 9. Edward would be 10. Salvador 11. Benji 12. Shiva 13. And then I could either take Cassidy or Rayson. Here, I'm gonna write this down. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I'm just writing this down. Alright, let me see. Alright, so Skylar, Alania, and Marcus, and Phoebe, and Corvin, and Melanie, and Wesley, and Benjen and Finn and Salvador and Edward. That's 11. That's 11. Now, I need one more two-handed sword user at least. And out of that list is Rayson, Shiva, and Cassidy. Or I could go with Douglas and Elias. So I could pick one of either Rayson, Shiva, or Cassidy, one of the three, and go, and then Elias and Douglas, and I'll have a tank and another polearm. Or I could skip Douglas and Elias, go with no tank, and just have 6 two-handed sword users. And maybe Marcus tanking. But in this scenario, Wesley is kind of like a bonus. I want to try to utilize that 40% aura. And Finn is a bonus, but if I don't use Finn, I would either have to put the axe either on Khalith here or Salvatore. And Salvatore, to me, and Edward are really our two best two-handed sword users. I don't know why Salvatore is so good, but I think it's just his stats are just so good. Like his base stats are just so good. And it sucks that Jorah is at level 28. When you get him with all these S's, but I don't know how to use them. Maybe you stick him as a polearm. So maybe, let's say I get to, maybe Elias is like level 24 and Jorah is level 28. Maybe I just go with Jorah. Or maybe I just scratch Finn and give that axe to someone else. Maybe Salvador, I don't know. and maybe that one mission where I send 2 sword users north and 2 blaze masters north and 2 blade masters south. Maybe if Alania levels up good, maybe she could be one of those 4. That could work. Because the thing that sucks is if you level up racing and he's level 33 and then you don't end up using them. Whereas all that XP could have gone on someone else that you're actually using. And I don't know, Shiva's stats are really good too, so still have more decisions. But like I said, I do want to try to use Corvin just to enable that poison ability. And I think trying to make him a little more tankier. Well, thanks for, I wanted to make a tips and tricks video, but this was more of a lengthy discussion. Trying to figure out what I want my next playthrough, if any, should be. But, it would be cool to play with Quincy one time. So that could be another option, as rather than Elias, maybe Quincy instead of Elias. And then maybe Jorah late game if they're behind in levels. If not, I'll just sell all his gear. And like this Crucible shield sells for 1,300 gold. So getting some of those Crucible shields is pretty nice. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening to me. Hope you have a good day, good weekend.